Hello, everyone. Welcome to another Astral interview. And here with me today, I have Glenda Ray and Preet. What's your last name, Preet?
Brar.
Rar. Welcome to both of you. We're going to be talking to both of them, but first we're going to talk to Glenda. Welcome, Glenda.
Thank you.
Yes, here today.
I am. I have taught young children for 33 years, and I am. Yes.
Before you tell me about what you do now, let's talk about you a little bit about your history, about to you personally. Where'd you grow up?
Okay.
What's your experience as a young child? Tell me a little bit about you a little bit.
Okay. So I grew up in the Lower Mainland, and as a child, I experienced a journey of really not being seen or heard. I kind of hid behind a curtain and didn't say boo, and so as I grew up, that all of those unexpressed feelings and emotions and thoughts were begging to be released and spoken and shared, and an anger also inside of me from not sharing my truth and expressing what was deep inside of me. So that as a young adult manifested itself in a near-death experience and through that journey, that powerful transformational journey, I commanded to be shown another way to heal, another way to transform, another way to empower my life. And
so about that near-death experience first. Tell me what happened.
Pardon me?
Tell me a little bit about near-death experience. What happened?
What happened is that the liver is the seat of anger. So all of that unexpressed emotion and thoughts and feelings all throughout my childhood and teenage years and young adult life had to go somewhere. So, the soul chose it to manifest itself through the physical body, because if we don't speak our truth and share what's deep inside of us and emotions to move through us, then it gets trapped in the body basically and expresses itself through some physical form. And so that's what I experienced. And it's interesting because as a child, it's not like I really felt like I wasn't really aware that I was not expressing myself. It was, it was just through, I don't know, reflection and looking back from a different perspective that I realized that, yes, indeed, I was not expressing myself. And I, like I say, I would hide behind a curtain and not say boo in fear of what would happen if I did. So, like I say, I commanded, literally declared to the universe, show me another way. Show me another way to heal and transform and empower my life. And many different modalities literally landed in my lap. And those that I resonated with, I explored. And through that exploration, I found my voice. And I began sharing what was inside of me, wisdom and information. And, whatever that was longing to be shared came out of me. And through that sharing, it was revealed to me many of the gifts inside of me that I, wasn't really aware that they were gifts. as a child. So I have always had an incredible connection with nature. And, you know, animals talk to me, trees talk to me. And then later in life, I was guided to, you know, through one of my beautiful animals in my adult life. She came back in the form of a horse to tell me that
I see a picture of a horse behind you. I was just going to ask you.
Yes, yes. So yes, I have a very strong connection with animals and people, because what she showed me was that the way when she came back in the form of a horse of the same name, if you can believe that, she says, "Mommy, go to the forest where we always used to walk together. There is a message for you. Go now." And this was after she had, you know, after she had passed. And um, she even told me when she was preparing to pass. It was just, we communicated. Like wherever I went, I mean, I took her everywhere, but if I was at school teaching and couldn't bring her, she would still be talking to me. She says, "Mommy, hurry up, get home. I'm going to knock all the plants over because you've been gone too long." And sure enough, I come home and all the plants were knocked over. But I didn't realize at that time that that was a gift. It was just that's the way I communicated with, you know, with energy, with spirit, with whatever you want to call it. And so she says, "Mommy," she says, and when she came back in the form of a horse, she says, "Mommy, the you know, what you've been looking for, that magic is you. It's not outside of you." So the way we connected on the physical plane, the way we communicated, explore how you communicate with people living and passed over, you know, as a medium. And so I explored that and realized that, oh my God, I channel. And I didn't know that, because it was just this natural thing. So what happened is, through those exploration of those different modalities, it's like people would reflect to me and say, "Well, you need to share that with people. You need to speak more to that and explore that." So that's how the gifts were revealed to me. And the more I shared, the more, it's almost like the more that was awakened within me, and many, many different gifts and talents.
Right.
I didn't know were there.
Was there a certain order to how the gifts were revealed to you, or did everything just come crashing at you?
Oh, no, it's almost like they didn't all show up at the same time. No, just different times in my adult life. It's like I'd be inspired to pick up a piece of canvas and paint, and I go, like, it's like the canvas and the paint talk to me. It's like, pick up a brush and start painting. Just do it, you know? And it wasn't this like, okay, I'm gonna paint today. It was like this calling, you know? And I started painting. I was like, oh my God, did I paint that? You know, I'd go into this meditative state and paint, and then upon feeling completion, I'd reflect. It's like, oh my God, that looks like me. But I didn't know that that's what I was painting, or an aspect of an essence, you know? And so, and what's so interesting, as a child, if I was in class and the teacher said, "Do this, paint, you know, paint this, draw this," I'd like, "What, are you kidding me?" I'd look at the friend beside me, I'd look at the teacher, and I'd want to copy, because I had no idea that that was within me, you know?
Right.
And same with like singing. I didn't know I had a singing voice. And so through the meditations the meditation journeys that happen organically through me when I connect with a person, it's like the person shows up, they share a little bit about what's going on in their life, and I'm guided to take them on a journey, and it just unfolds organically. And through that, I started chanting, and it's like, okay, where did that come from? And it's like, the more I explore it, the more, you know, powerful it gets. And then you get the mirrors from reflections from people, and it's like, oh my God, you know, didn't know that was within you, and I didn't know either, you know? And so, yeah.
Beautiful.
Hmm? Pardon
It's
me?
like a beautiful, beautiful experience you've been through in your life as these gifts have opened up to you and revealed to you.
Yes, yes. It's like, and you know, the more
So
we
tell
get,
me about the first time the gift opened up to you. What exactly happened? Hold that thought though for a second.
um, oh, okay. Just popped into my awareness. So when my dog, who is now one of my spirit guides, came back in the form of the horse, she said, "Mommy, there is a workshop that's coming up, and it's with horses. So you need to go to that workshop, Mommy. So whenever you see this come into your experience, you sign up and go." And yes, so she told me. And so I was in a healing circle a week later, guiding a group on a meditation, and there was the poster on the wall in the space. There's a horse's head at workshop. Okay, it's in Delta. These are the dates. I sign up. I go. Oh my God. Oh my God. The most incredible, transforming, empowering experience of my life. So the woman who had been around horses all her life says to me on the first day of the workshop, which turned into a 10-month intensive program with the horses, she says to me, "The way you show up naturally in your heart is the gift." She says, I can't, I've been around horse people all my life," she says, "and they don't connect with the animals like you do, just naturally in your heart." And she says, I am so recommending you take the equine assisted, it's actually called Facilitator for Equine Experiential Learning Program, because it you know, it's like, it's a calling for you. And here's here's the mirror of it here. So I did, and it was so incredible. The horses they just talked to me. I just, this channel with them. And so and not to mention how whatever I was ready to transform and be empowered in my life, that happened organically, just being with the horses. And so that is sort of where the channeling was revealed to me. Like, I didn't, what I experienced younger, I did not know that was a gift until it was shared with me through that program, through the woman that led the program and the horses. So that's how everything opened up.
So in your examples you shared with me, when the communication happens, you're referred to as mommy, so as mom, mother. So do you have a story behind that?
Could you say that again, please?
Yes. Well, in your examples that you shared with me, they refer to you as mommy or mother.
Oh, wow. Wow.
That means
yes, thank you for asking me that. Wow. So wow. You just like really touched my heart. So
sorry, my dear. Sorry, dear. Go ahead.
So you're bringing me back to an experience as a teacher in the classroom, and this parent came up to me one day after school. She says, may I come in and ask you a question? And I said, yes, please. She says, do you have children of your own? And I turned, the kids had already gone home, and I turned to the class and I reached out my arms and I said, I'm a mother of many. And she started crying. She says, do you know, when my daughter comes home from school every day, she says, Mommy, she says, you wouldn't believe the magic that unfolded at school today. You wouldn't believe it. And if something happened on the weekend at home, she says, Mommy, Miss Innes wouldn't say that. She wouldn't look at it like that. So she says she has been so touched by you, and so transformed through being with you. She's just opened right up and sharing more of herself, and she says, I just want to thank you for that. And although I have not physically given birth to children, I feel like that I have been a mother of many, many, many children, in maybe physically in another lifetime, but also through teaching. I felt the information I received was that I taught in the Himalayas, taught children in the Himalayas for many. Yeah, so it's like the teaching was like, I was in grade 2. I remember playing hopscotch outside at recess. I was hopping on the pavement, and it's like, I know what I'm going to be when I grow up. I'm going to be a teacher. Yes, a teacher. And so it's like I knew that was it way back then. And that sort of brings me back to where I began in sharing with you that I was a teacher for 33 years. And my heart's desire and dream was to help kids, to help them draw out their gifts and their talents, and help them realize that they have value and worth, and that they're needed here, and they have so much magic inside of them that the world needs. And if I may share this one story about this boy that literally dropped from a plane into my classroom from Africa. He couldn't speak a word of English. He had social challenges on the playground, in the classroom, like crazy, because he didn't feel like he fit in. He didn't know how to fit in. It was like foreign. Everything was foreign to him, and culture shock. And I said, you know, to the universe, to my universe, you know, show me how I can help this child, you know, connect with his gifts and his talents, and feel worthy and feel valuable, and in sharing those gifts. And so I was guided to ask him, what makes your heart sing? What do you love to do? You know, what just sparks you up? And he says, oh, I love to play the drum. So I said to him, oh, I said, how about we invite the possibility of you playing the drum in the gymnasium, in an assembly or a concert or something? And he says, really? I said, yes. I said, you leave it up to me and I'll arrange it. And oh my God, I think it was a peace assembly. And he played the drum. And he just lit up like 1,000 suns. And his life changed after that. Kids started wanting to play with him and get to know him. And he felt confident, and his self-esteem was just raised. And he's a different kid. And so I feel like that, which is interesting, because because it's like, as a child, I did not realize my gifts and what they were, or even felt like I had like, who am I? You know? And so through, through the powerful experiences of my life and asking to be shown another way to heal and transform, those gifts were revealed to me. And when looking back, it's like, that's what I was doing with the kids all along. And so I was being asked to really own that myself and to realize that, oh my, yes, I am worthy and I am valuable and I have something to share with the world. And
Right.
now it's like it's just night and day compared to what it was like growing up. It's like, here I am. I'm ready to share. I'm ready to share my gifts with the world.
So would you say that as a teacher then, working with all those children, it helped contribute to you recognizing your gifts and recognizing gifts in them?
Yes, exactly. Because even though I may not have known it or realized it on a conscious level then, for me to recognize it within, reflecting now, it's like for me to recognize it within them, I had to, on some level, recognize that within myself, on some level, maybe, maybe not conscious. So they helped to awaken that within me for sure.
Because of course, children are innocent and all the gifts are alive in them at that age when they're just forming lives. And so you being around so many children with them being so aware and wide open,
Yes.
for certain there was an exchange then between you and them.
Yes. They would say to me things like, you need to sing, you need to dance, you need to write more books, because I would share my books with them that I wrote, I mean, I change it a little bit to make it a little more grounded for them, but the sort of like the essence of what I was sharing in the book, I would share with them. So if they were out on the playground, for instance, and something challenging happened and they'd come in and they'd be all upset, I say, well, let's sit down in a circle, share our feelings and thoughts, and let's see how we can harmonize this energy, be at peace.
Right.
And so I was sharing with them tools that I share in the book on a very grounded way that they could relate to, and taught them how, through organic experiences that they lived in real life.
Right.
And oh my God, they just witnessed within themselves how they could transform and heal and harmonize. And they'd go home on the weekend and they'd say, guess what happened on the weekend? I used the wonder word in the harmony tool and look what happened. So they definitely empowered me to share my gifts, because I didn't know necessarily the powerful impact that they had. And then one day, the principal, who he was only at the school, he only knew me, I think, a year. And one day he says to me, can you come into the principal's office after school today? I want to talk to you. And I said, okay. I said, I've never been called into the principal's office before. And he says, yes. I says, I would like to talk to you. And I said, okay. So I go in there and he says, I've been hearing I've been hearing things, and of the times I've been in your room and been witnessing the children and you interact with them. He says, you have a gift. He says, and I'm inviting you to share it. And I said, oh my. I said, I had just recently put out to the universe to show me how I could step into my leadership role in the school community even more. He says, I'm inviting you to lead the peace assembly. And I said, oh, thank you. I'm honored. And I led the whole community on a meditation for peace. And
Oh, that's beautiful.
oh my God. And they were so responsive. They were so open to it. And he came into my class at the end of the day and he says, I am so grateful. And the community is like received you in open arms. And so that was what felt like as my completion in that journey there. In that, because I had asked to be shown completion, because I could feel that I was being guided to share my gifts in another form, you know, to more and more people. And for me, the completion felt like in that harmony of sharing that with the community. So it was like, oh my God. So last summer I had declared that I was repassioning my purpose. I didn't call it retiring, repassioning my purpose, because I felt that call so strongly in the harmonious completion, you know, of sharing in the community there. And so what happened with that is that so much opened up for me. It's just like, woo. And now I'm an author too. I've written.
I ask you.
Yes. Pardon me?
And so I was just going to ask you that you mentioned you've written some books.
Yes.
But before we talk about written, I'm curious about what the wonder word is.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for asking that. The kids told me, you gotta write a book about the wonder word, Miss Innes. Gotta write the book about the wonder word. And the wonder word is such a simple tool and so incredibly powerful. Oh my God. So simply place your hand on your heart. Take a few breaths in, you know, breathe in, let go. Take another deep breath in. And just feel that connection in your heart with your hand on your heart, and then feel into that beautiful sacred chamber of your heart. And ask a question like, I wonder how I may bring joy to someone today. I wonder how I may express gratitude to all the beauty and grace in the world. I wonder how a door may open for me today and I may receive a new opportunity. I wonder how I may meet a loving, empowering person and connect with them and get to know them and journey with them and empower each other on our journeys. I wonder how I may receive a gift from the universe today. Show me. And watch what unfolds. The universe will bring you that opportunity. It will just show up. And the kids loved it. And they, like I say, they'd go home and they say, you know, Miss Innes, I couldn't find my book. I didn't know where it was. And I watched how you used the wonder word in the classroom and how something would just show up the minute you used it, you know. And it's like, I used it and, you know, I turned around a few times, or maybe I went into another room and there it was. They just loved it. And you can use it for any aspect of your life. Even like Absolutely. On the playground, you know, I wonder how we can collaborate together and create a harmonious solution and be at peace, you know? And they'd be shown the way. And because I modeled it and did it with them, it became a part of them. And then they start saying to their friends or the other classmates, in other classrooms, they say, you know, use the wonder word. It works. You know, so yeah.
Awesome. That's amazing. I love that. You'll have to share maybe one more of your tools with us.
Thank you. Yes, it's so, I don't know, it's so, how can something so simple be so magical? But it's just, it is.
Powerful.
It's in that simplicity and in that heart. Your heart space is everything. Because otherwise
It's
we're in
in
our
it.
mind. So I help people move into their heart. Connect with their higher guidance, their intuition, and live from that. My vision, my global vision is, may we all live from the Sacred Heart, through the Sacred Heart, as the Sacred Heart, through every thought, word, and deed. That's my vision.
Beautiful. So beautiful. Okay, tell us about your books now.
Okay, so my first book I wrote in this lifetime, because I feel like I wrote many books in other lifetimes, which again is very interesting, because as a child and even, you know, in high school, it's like whenever I was asked to write, it was like, are you kidding me? I didn't. So same thing, right? And
Yes.
so when I sort of found my voice and started sharing, it was like it went from the voice and onto the paper. So both ways of expression, right? And so the book wrote itself. It just wrote itself. And so the first book is called Transformative Meditation, a guide of multidimensional journeys to transform and empower all aspects of your life. And I share my journey, what I went through in my life. And then I take the reader on multidimensional transformative meditation journeys to heal and to transform and to empower their lives, and speak in like sharing an essence of something like a journey to help open the heart and heal the heart, a journey to connect with your truth and speak your truth. And so I share all these many different journeys, and also I share tools like the wonder word is one tool that I share in the book. And so that was the first book. And then I wrote 2 articles, 2 sacred stories for an award-winning media site called Biz Catalyst 360. And I wrote Gifts Within a Sacred Wound. And I wrote Healing the Relationship to Oneself is Healing for All. And then I wrote also in a compilation of authors in a book called Chaos to Clarity. So I share another sacred story within that book, which is a collection of authors.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
So you have authored in your life. And so you've worked with children, you've written books, and so what do you do now? Are you still teaching?
So thank you. I love your questions. So yes, it's in a different form. So I feel like I'm a master teacher. So what I am doing right now is I'm creating what I'm calling what I've been guided to call is a purposeful, passionate livelihood business where I am sharing. I'm sharing it's like an 8-part module series where I help the person to, you know, awaken their gifts, to realize their gifts, to, you know, I take them on all these different journeys, and it's just like to open the heart, to allow and receive, to whatever that may be interfering with them speaking their truth and allowing themselves to be seen and heard, and to share their wisdom with the world. So it's all these different journeys that I take them on organically.
Right.
So it's like whatever comes through for them, because that's how it is. It's something that I can't plan for. It's organic. So I take them through all these journeys and assist them in realizing and remembering the gifts inside of them and revealing them to themselves, and to help them bring that forth into the world and share their hero's journey with the world. So I'm creating the structure for that in this moment.
Right.
Yeah.
So you haven't already created the 8 modules? You're in the process of doing it?
So the whole blueprint is created. So it's just a matter of one and then the other and the other and the other. And it's like, it comes through me so with such ease and grace that it's just like, in terms of time, it's no time. Like it's already done because I can feel it. You know, it's just a matter of doing the physical to anchor it.
Well,
yeah.
When you speak and when I hear you and your mannerisms and everything, it totally feels timeless. Your look, your tone, your smile, you are timeless.
Wow. Thank
So
you.
beautiful.
Wow.
So beautiful. Thank you.
Hmm.
Okay, so let's come now to the 888. How did you become involved in that?
Oh, thank you. So,
And
mhm.
and then we can talk to
Yes.
the next phase of this interview.
Yes. So, how that presented itself was that I was asked to join, actually by Preet, to join the Over Self Awakening group. And I had known Tessa for about 4 years now. Tessa's Zialsita or Zialsita. So I had known her for about 4 years, and, you know, had, you know, experienced some of her offerings, and then I just felt when this was invited for me to join, I feel the resonance or I don't. And that's my yes or my no. And it's like, I'm feeling resonance here to this self-awakening group, and really connected with that group of women. And then Tessa was put out there that that Lionsgate Portal event was open for anybody who felt guided to share their, you know, their offerings. And I'm like, okay, I'm in. And so I said yes, and now it's like everything that I'm offering is just organically presenting itself. So it's just unfolding in the moment, in the moment, in the moment. And so
That's amazing.
Yeah. And then, so maybe I'll just share how Preet came into, how she showed up. So Tessa had said, you know, if you'd like to share a table with someone, you're welcome to do that. So I say to my universe, okay, if I'm sharing with someone, who is it? Who would this divine being be? And it's like Preet just popped right in. So it's Preet. So I asked her, and she said yes. So we've been going on a journey together too. So organically to bring our
What you're together.
too. Yes. So maybe I'll share that
Please.
that we are sort of both offering things individually as well as a group. So I'm going to be bringing some of my art, and Preet is bringing some of her gifts that she's created and bringing as, and then we are offering together intuitive messages for one's life and path, as well as transformative, empowering, healing journeys that sort of just they're organic, and it's like we just interact and it just happens.
Wonderful. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Excellent. So go ahead. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and your history?
Okay, so worked with seniors in late stages Alzheimer's and dementia care, and as well as palliative care. And as my personal story, in school, I went through a lot of bullying to the point of suicidal attempts. And that, at that time, I always drew strength from watching my parents. And because back then, schools were involved, but not to the point as they are now, which is really good to see. So early on, I would receive messages, intuitive messages, and I just didn't think of them as anything at that time because I wasn't sure of what these messages were. And so I grew up as Sikh, so that's what my prayers and so that's what I just always believed is just God speaking with me. And I didn't take it any further than that. As the years went by, I actually witnessed abuse.
That's a pretty big thing when God speaks to you.
Oh, yes. But so my story is that I had a near-death experience in my pregnancy. So we're moving way ahead. And I was actually 4 months pregnant, and my blood pressure went to 230 over 160, and my kidney shut completely. And so I was on emergency dialysis. And I remember that night on my bed after the dialysis, my doctor was there and he was walking around. And I remember myself flying up out of my body, and I could see him walking, my mom praying. And I went into the hallway, and then I saw my dad and my brother there. And then I'm not sure how I ended up, I crossed over something, and then I was in this mud, it's all wet mud, and I was on my knees. So before this, I never heard of Amazing Grace. In the out-of-body experience, I guess, or near-death experience, I was singing the hymn Amazing Grace. And as I was singing that, and I was on my knees, my hands were up, it was all dark. And so the sky opened, and then there were 3 clouds. And on the left cloud, a white horse appeared, and the light shone down on it. And that's when I woke. And when I woke, the nurse that was sitting beside my bedside said that he didn't think I was gonna make it. So that's when my journey, if I look back, I think that's perhaps when I became even more spiritual, because I started having very vivid dreams, in that if I even prayed or for others or myself, I started receiving messages. And I never like to think that it's me. It's, for me, it's because I always pray to God to use me as a tool to serve others. And so whatever that happens, it's all Him and the universe. And so in my near-death experience, I had my son at 6 months at 1.1 pound. However, before that, because I was on complete bed rest in the hospital, I was allowed to come home one day. So I went with my parents to this house, and they were chanting the Waheguru chant. They're doing a Simran there.
Yeah.
And I sat in front of this priest, and as we were chanting, it's my first experience ever of that. And as we were chanting, all of a sudden I felt my body go up, and I got scared and opened my eyes, and I looked at the priest. And just as I looked at him and his eyes were open looking at me, I saw a ball of light go through me. So I knew that my son would make it. So even in the hospitals, doctors thought I went into denial because I started saying that God showed me he will make it. Because there were such huge gaps in the placenta, so he wasn't getting any food or oxygen. So at six months, he was born emergency C-section at 1.1 pound. Even then, at that point, before, they couldn't really give me much medicine nor sedation because they didn't know if I would survive or not. So anyways, after that, I woke up. And then from then to, because I was on dialysis for 6.5 years. And I got to a point, I don't talk much about this. Anyways, I got to a point when you write your, like the social worker started saying I should write a will. And then, so I separated myself. That was my, in an odd way, another, because I got very close, because you can only go so long on dialysis. So, but that's when God, divine intervention happened. So even in the hospital itself, my son went through so much. I know I'm skipping. My son went through so much in the hospital, and because he wasn't fully developed at all. He was the size of my palm. And so, but prayers manifested itself. Like I always give thanks to God. And so at that time, now I see it, people tell me like, oh, it's manifestations because you pray and it happens. But I assume that it happens for all like this. I don't know that part. Anyways, so he had two brain bleeds in his brain, and one of them at one point, a little less than 1 month into him being born, they had seen a grade 4 bleed. And they had told me that you have 1 week to decide if you want to keep him or not. And a lot of prayers. And then after that 1 week, they said it was a miracle. They had never seen that. They had seen a definite grade 4 and that it had diminished. And there was nothing. There was like just the grade 2 and grade 3. So he had seizures and stuff. But when he was, in an odd way, it was a blessing because he was in the hospital for 6.5 months. And in those 6.5 months, it took me to learn to do dialysis at home. And there's a process even for that. So we both came home technically after 6.5 months. And in our reports, they wrote divine intervention for both of us. After that, so my life then, so I was home for 8 years. Because 6.5 years was my transplant or my dialysis. And then also it was therapies for my son. But during all these years, I created support groups. I always believe that whatever we go through in life, it's to empower other people. So we're able to understand them to some depth. And
right.
So My divine intervention at that time, at 6.5 years, was I found out and I had a kidney transplant. It's been 13 years now. And for my son, in all those years, I would receive like divine guidance from my dreams, and I would journal it and write down what it means and what are the signs, and intuitively I would, pardon me?
Good job. Beautiful. Good on you for doing that.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if it was a curiosity that why am I receiving this, but I don't know. I just did that, and yeah. So at age, my son, when he came home from the hospital, the reason they wrote divine intervention for him was he actually cleared all of his brain bleeds and everything, and his seizures had stopped. So for 5.5 years, he had delays, but it was going as per it would be. I mean, he was fine as I was doing the therapies at home with him. And then 5.5, he had a first seizure. He was in kindergarten, and that seizure lasted 45 minutes, and his heart stopped. I forgot how long. His heart stopped in between, so he came back again after that. And then a month later, he had another seizure, and that one was 40 minutes, and he kept seizing right through. Then a year passed, nothing, and then very random, so odd that the following 2 months again, he had seizures again in 1 and 2. And I was like, so the third year I got very scared. Like, is this the pattern now? Like I don't know. So that time he lost his speech because of the seizure medicine. So I then did sign language with him and whatnot. When he was 10 years old, a lot of things happened then in my life, in that my dad unexpectedly passed away. And that was the first.
How old was he?
He was 64.
Your son, how old?
Oh, my son right now, he is 19. So at that time, he was 10 and a half years old.
10 and a half.
Yeah. So, yeah, at that time in July, my dad passed away, and he had 2 heart attacks. And then in September, my son was diagnosed with autism. And that's a journey in itself. People don't realize you get the diagnosis, then they leave you out there. And then families have to go out and find their own stuff, because and the list they gave you is so long, it's so many wait lists. It's, yeah. So because my son was 10 and a half years old, he didn't receive much therapies because of the wait lists, or people didn't want to take him on. So I did a lot of his therapies at home then. It's after that, in October, so I also had bullying from my supervisor at that time. So I've experienced workplace bullying as well. And after that, that was so much stress on my body that I went into premenopause at age 35. And so, yeah. And then as the years went on, friends would come to me and ask me for advice, but I never thought of it as anything. I just, okay, this is friends. I entered into, after I had my transplant, a year it took me to get better, and I went back to seniors. I love working with seniors. I was placed in a special care unit at that time, or neighborhood. And it was kind of an opening at that point for me, because I had walked in a little unsure of how to work in an environment like that. But I wasn't so scared because I had my son. So I knew I could draw upon the therapies I learned there to work with these, the people I was serving. And I remember sitting in the nurse's station writing my notes, and I just started praying. My eyes were down, and they were in front of me, all the seniors. And then I'm like praying for God to just help me and to show me why I am in this situation, why it was chosen for me to be there. Literally, I just looked up And it was as if I was kind of shocked because it was all like new light or something. It's as if I got new eyes. It just lit up for me. And I was like, and it was, I don't know how you explain it, like, is so much peace and just, I feel so like okay with it. Like I walked out with myself, and I wondered for so many years what that was. But that kind of intrigued me to find out more. And I went into, after working there, I started doing palliative care and more late stages Alzheimer's and dementia care. And there I learned that it's almost like as you're serving, you almost learn things about yourself as well. And
Absolutely.
there I was shown in care especially, had about 4 or 5 like experiences that happened, where one of them I will never forget. I used to go in and sing Christian hymns to seniors that are the hard of hearing, or because they had lost their eyesight, which didn't mean that they weren't, they had nothing inside of them. So many times in care homes, these people are just left alone, and those are the ones we need to go to. So those were I felt like, no, maybe that's why I'm there. I need to go and do something. And so it was always my thing is connect them to a higher self. And so I would just go in and sing Christian hymns. Not that I had the best voice, but it's okay.
Yes.
And so this one particular lady, she had, as she was passing, because she started packing up for to go home. And I just allowed her that. 1 month later, as she was passing, she's on her bedside. And I went in and sang to her. And she was in and out. And on the right, she looked to the right. And you could tell she wasn't really there. And she looked to the right and she said, "There's babies smiling and thanking you." And I go, "Okay, thank you." But I didn't know why, or I didn't understand. But I took it because that's what she was giving me. And I held a space for her. So after that, her son's name was, I forgot. But anyway, she had said somebody else's name, and not actually her son's name. And so she said that her dad had come forth, and all of a sudden she got, her dad came forth and said, "Hi, Jacqueline," and her name was Margaret. So I wasn't too sure what that was. And then as she was there and she's smiling, and then she got scared, and I asked her, I go, "What's going on?" And then she goes, "A little girl." And she was scared of this girl for some reason. And I said, "It's okay. Is your dad there? You just look at your dad." And then she saw her mom in the background, the right side. And then she said she saw Jesus. So she put her hands out and she started calling for Jesus. But then it was like she came out of where she was, I don't know. So the nurses came, and then I left for the day. When I came back the next morning, the nurses had told me that the family was asking for me, and I go, "Okay." And so when I went to I called up the family, I asked the social workers if it's okay. And that's a kind of a call that I wasn't sure how they were going to take my message. Like, are they going to think, like, what is she, right? Like, not all people receive that kind of message lightly. So I just explained to her, I said, "This is what happened, and I don't understand because her name is Margaret and it's Jacqueline. Her son's name was Jack, her husband's." So I'm like, "Oh, so it's a message for your son that she's gone home." And then I go, "There was a little girl she was scared of." And she said, "Oh, she passed away in World War I." And I go, "Oh." And then I said, "Well, she went home to Jesus and her family." And then that really made me wonder. And I had a very close relationship with this pastor, because I would do end of life rites with him. And I told him the situation that happened. And so anything that would come up, because that's when I realized I'm an empath, is that I was walking by one room once, and the senior, she was in her room, and I was just walking by to collect, or not collect, wrong word, to get seniors for the program. And as I walked just by her room, I felt something, all of a sudden it just hit me. I felt like crying, and I got tears, and I'm like, that has never happened to me. So I went back, and then I went again across, and it just hit me again. I felt nauseous. I'm like, so odd. So I went into the room, and she used to be a Catholic nun. She had her chair faced the other way to the wall. And I'm like, what is she looking at the wall for? And so I asked her, and then I go, are you okay? She goes, yeah, I'm fine. I go, it's never happened to me. So I go, this is what happened. And then she started crying. And she's like, why am I here on this earth? Because she was in a lot of pain. And at that time, when I went to the pastor, and he's like, this is what happens as you're opening up. So then that's how it started for me. And from then, like, just like Glenda Ray, I'm very much intuitive led, and what resonates with me is where I go. And it's not that something, it's not in your mind, it's in your heart. Or is it in your heart? Or is it in your third eye? It's something that you just, it comes to you like messages within you. And I knew it was time to move on to serve other people. And that's when I got the chance to work with, there was a big lesson I learned working with seniors, was that many people forget, and they're so stuck on labels of what a person is. But a person is not made of just labels. And we forget, even if they're passing that, okay, now, I've seen that where you just focus on, okay, the death. Well, they're still living. There's still a person there. We need to still embrace them. So for me, it's always been being the voice for those that cannot speak up for themselves. And it almost, as I was writing these notes down today, it almost made me see that where I've been working a lot on myself, as in boundaries, and it makes me wonder, being the voice, is that almost giving myself a voice? So anyways, I had the chance to work with newcomers, and as I heard their stories of how they fled from war to come into this country, some of them, wow, I couldn't believe how much strength they had and how they spoke about it. And so I started leading trauma-informed workshops with a mental health series. And in that, I started learning almost about self-love, because you give to others so freely, it just comes so freely to you. And that's what I kept thinking, oh, it's so easy to love others, it's easy, but I forgot that I need it too. It's a two-way thing. It's not just giving always. You need to give to yourself as well, even though society almost in a way puts that as selfish. But I'm learning that it's you need to give it to yourself as well. So I came across Glenda Ray. I'll just forward it now, because I'm much the storyteller. So I came across Glenda Ray when I was just questioning why I was having the dreams that I was having. There's been dreams where I seen churches or temples, and there was a Sikh temple in India, and I went there as well. And so I was just wondering if it's just me, or if everybody gets these dreams, or why am I getting these signs, what it is. And I also was looking for someone that has shared a similar story. And I was looking online, and that's how it's intuition led. I mean, I could have went to anyone, but when I read Glenda Ray's profile, and I'm the type, if I find something I'm very interested, I kind of go anal about it. I go everywhere to social media, just so I know who you are and if I resonate. And so I called up Glenda Ray, and sure enough, that was back in 2017. And 2017, yes. And so when I went to Glenda Ray, when I went to her at that time, at the time when I went to Glenda Ray, I was so broken. and I blame myself. But, you know, all of these things that you have in life, it's like teaching you. For me, they're like, because you have your moments. I mean, you're human after all. You'll always have your moments. But it's also how can we transform those moments? Even like speaking today on camera, it's Glenda Ray. So when I came to Glenda Ray and I shared, she held a space for me. And we went through this journey. And there are things in that journey, like the animals that showed up. One of them was a lion. And I actually had seen a lion in my Reiki attunements, initiation. So I met Glenda Ray, and then I went on the journey with her. And at the end of that journey that she guided me through, it's straight intuition and universe, and it all works. As I went there at the last part of her journey, it was as if I already had been there. It was, I've never had this kind of journey before, but I felt at home with myself, and it was it totally changed my view of things. And yeah, and then so the intuitive coaching came across for me, just to embrace people of who they are.
Oh my God. What an amazing, amazing story. I mean, I wanted to ask her questions, but I didn't want to stop her from continuing speaking. But then she ended up answering my questions along the way anyways.
Yes.
Oh my God, I just feel like hugging both of you, like, oh my God, amazing, amazing souls. Thank you for this connection, you two. Thank you. What a beautiful connection.
I'd like to thank you for holding a space as well for us today. Thank you.
Like, I'm getting all emotional inside because both are beautiful souls, and I'm feeling your energy, and I'm feeling your innocence and purity. Preet, are you back? Can you finish your story? You were saying how your journey with Glenda Ray felt like home.
Yes. And the coaching, I realized that I already had been coaching when I was working with seniors. And so I started opening it up for free sessions, not social media, if anyone needed help, especially during COVID. I started hearing messages, offer it now free, offer it now free. So I just put it up to see. And I got a few people. And so for me, the coaching is basically reminding people of the strengths they have already within that they've forgotten. And I receive intuitive messages as they're speaking, and sometimes they don't make sense to me, but it does for them.
It's important to just say what comes rather than questioning it, because even though you don't recognize, or you might think it's silly or strange or whatever it is, it's not for you, it's for the other person. So you blurt it out.
Yes. And that came even more of a confirmation for me when I spoke with Glenda Ray.
Right.
And she validated those intuitive messages that came forth. And at that point, I asked her if she would like to do something together, because she already, in my eyes, is such a wise teacher. And I've learned so much from her that and she said yes. And so when 888 portal came up, I had seen it, and I was just thinking, if I should go as if this is an opportunity, or should I just go as a.
Oh, it cut out.
So if I may add to what she's saying, I don't know. Or
go, please.
Wait a minute. Pardon me?
Go ahead.
Oh, okay. So so she was already feeling the call, you know, feeling the possibility.
Yeah.
And so I come out.
Go ahead, Glenda. You can
So
finish
then
the story.
Yeah, so then when I, like I said, had asked the universe, hey, so who am I partnering with? And Preet just popped right in. And so I call her up and invite the possibility. She goes, I get it now. Yes, we're partnering. Yeah, and just what's unfolded with that yes between us. Oh my God. We could write a book together. It's just crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm so excited for you two. I'm so excited for me to have met you two. Thank you.
Thank you.
Such beautiful people.
Thank you.
I can't wait to meet you in person. Thank you so much.
Hmm.